Today I'm going to be taking a look at Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion, one of my favorite games that ever came out. I'm going to talk about why it was important when it came out 20 years ago and why it's important now. We're going to talk about some of the gameplay mechanics, some of the stuff that works, some of the stuff that maybe could still be improved, and we're going to just run around and have some fun for the next 15 or so minutes. But before I get into all that, a quick word from today's sponsor. You're sitting wrong right now. Your posture is bad. You are leaning back. You are leaning forward. You're putting a lot of stress on your shoulders and on the lower part of your back. And that's why after you have a long gaming session and you stand up and you stretch, you instantly feel relief. It's because your body wasn't meant to be hunched over when you play games. And I am guilty of it. I'm a 43-year-old gamer. When I get into a game that I really like, I lean forward. And boy, have I been paying for it for the last few years, going to see massage therapists and chiropractors, trying to slowly stretch out the damage I have done to myself. So to your future self, you probably want to invest in something like this. This is the NuChair, and what it's designed to do is to sit the way you stand. It forces you to have good posture. It takes pressure off of your lower back and evenly distributes it down your legs through your feet, the way your body was meant to be designed. More importantly, if you use the promo code in the link below, you will save some money on one of these chairs. It is a big investment, but it is one that you will absolutely see dividends for. Don't go out and buy those cheap office chairs that look like gaming chairs that are built very poorly. This is something that's made in America, nice high quality materials, and it's something that is an investment piece that will benefit you greatly in the future. But don't take my word for it. Check out the site in the link below and do your own research, but I think you'll come to the same conclusion I did, and that is you want to invest in something like NuChair. Now, back to the video. All right, so Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion remastered. It was a shadow drop. It came out of nowhere. Now, I shouldn't say completely out of nowhere. We had a feeling it was coming. There's been a lot of leaks, but the fact that it really didn't have a lot of hype leading up to it other than super fans who were dying to play the game. It was kind of an interesting time that it just appeared. And the fact that it's gotten so much positive reviews and so many positive impressions, the fact that it's charting so high on Steam, the fact that people are talking about it, people who haven't even played Elder Scrolls before, asking me like, hey, is this a good entry point into the series? Or I started to play Skyrim, but I didn't really like it. Or, you know, where do I start in this universe? Well, this is a great starting point. And the fact that we have so much hype on it is really, really, really cool, because this game meant so much to all of us when it came out many, many years ago. For me personally, I had just moved out of the house. I just bought my first TV. I just got my own apartment, and I had 2 weeks off before I started my new job. And you know what I did for 2 weeks? I bought this game and I played the absolute hell out of it. And boy, did I love it. And it was so much fun to get lost in this world and just to start playing around and just having fun. And, you know, we didn't have YouTube back then. We didn't really have reliable internet back then. So what we were kind of left with was just your freedom, your thoughts, just finding out what makes sense in this world, where to go, what to do. And I love that sense of raw adventure that exists in this game today. Obviously now through YouTube and guides and that sort of stuff, you're not going to have to wander nearly as much as I did. You're not going to have to be somebody who, when you're standing in the town and you want to sell some of the gear that you just found, you're not going to have to open up the map like me and go to every single vendor and figure out, okay, who's the guy that I need to sell my sword to? Oh, it's the Fighting Chance. But let's say I had a book I wanted to sell. Well, that'd be the first edition. And if I want to buy, let's say a horse, well, I got to go see the horse courier. There wasn't one vendor that was like the vendor. And let's say you were also in a town, or in a dungeon rather. Let's say you're in a dungeon and you found some stuff and you wanted to try your hand at potion making. Well, guess what? There's not a craft table. You have to know to go buy the novice mortar and pestle or the novice retort or these other two items, the calcinator or the alembic, because what they would do is they'll enhance your ability to make potions. And then, and only then, when you go ahead and click on one of those, that's what brings up the crafting menu in order to actually make potions. See, that's the kind of stuff about this game. It does have a modern flair to it, but it's still very much rooted in kind of that old gaming system where you just kind of had to like figure it out. Open up your inventory, look at something, see what it does. Say, hey, I have this this potion. I don't know what the other effects are. Well, how would I learn them? Well, I could try to make this potion again. I could drink this potion and learn new stuff. I could pay a vendor to teach me how to make this potion or the other things that are inside. And hey, maybe that other unknown effect is really good. Maybe it's going to make me immune to damage for 30 seconds, or maybe it's going to poison me. I don't know yet. You just kind of have to go through it and figure it out on your own. And I love that about this game. It does still run on that old engine. So all the jank and all the nonsense that we experienced in the original game is still here. All the goofiness that was in that old engine. Sometimes the NPCs, they get a little confused. And when you're talking to them, they'll just start a whole other voice dialogue, or they just walk away. Or sometimes cutscenes might not trigger the way you want them to. Or you'll be in combat with a guy, and he'll just kind of stop fighting you and walk away. Or who knows? It's random. I think there's that Bethesda jank that we all love and all appreciate, and it is in here in spades. And it's okay. It's okay to enjoy that. And this is better than Morrowind because you don't have that deep RPG system. You don't have those boring, flat, basic environments. You have a rich, dense world with NPCs walking around and guards walking around and all these different vendors and beautiful skybox and great draw distance and haptic feedback and updated audio engine stuff. This is awesome. You could talk to all of these people. They all have names. They all have backstories. They all have rumors, and they all have things that you can get them to do and talk with them and learn about them. And this city is massive. And there's more than just one city because it's a big game. Now, Cyrodiil is obviously the capital, but there's Cheydinhal over in the corner. There's Coral down on the right. There's Kvatch. You'll be able to fast travel to these cities at first if you want to, or you could just take your time and walk, which is what I'm doing. You can see I've just started to slowly navigate on my journey to Coral. I actually just finished off Fort Ash, which we'll go ahead and fast travel to. So, like I said, in the original game, it came out at a pivotal time in my life as I was kind of becoming my own man. But it was also a great time to be a gamer because it was just so raw and new and fun. And we didn't really know at that point kind of what to expect. And this game was, I think, aggressive enough and difficult enough that made it rewarding when you did hard stuff. But also the entry point of barrier wasn't horrible. But it is no Skyrim. Skyrim is significantly easier. The quest marker, the thing you need is right here. You could fast travel directly to that point, pick up the item. Vendors were much easier to sell with. The crafting systems and the exploration was significantly easier for you to kind of work through. Here, it's not that way. It's not that bad, but it could be better. And if you watched any of the content that the developers talked about when they did those videos, those press videos during the 15-minute reveal and some of the content they've released since, they said, hey, listen, we understand that this game, we're kind of trying to like bridge the gap, right? We've taken some of those old systems that were in, Elden Ring, and we've modernized them. We've made them better. Well, that's the kind of stuff they're talking about, where it is a little bit more accessible than it used to be, but it is going to take you some time to work your way through all those systems. Now, why does this game matter today? I think that is an even better question. Why is a game that has been around for 20 years coming out in a sea of a very, very busy year? Monster Hunter Wild, my favorite game of the year. Obviously, the launch of the Switch 2, all the remasters that Sony's doing, like with Days Gone. There's just so many games that are coming out right now. So why now? And what does it mean for Bethesda to come out now? Well, let's face it, Bethesda needs a win, okay? They really, really need a win. If you take a look at what Skyrim was, which version of Skyrim, right? If you take a look at what Starfield was supposed to be, it was not that. It didn't pan out the way people wanted it to. The game received mediocre reviews. I tried it. It wasn't for me. A lot of other people tried it. It wasn't for them. They did release some DLC that kind of fell flat. Maybe it's getting there. Maybe in a couple years with some more patches, they'll release some sort of definitive edition for the PlayStation 5. and the Xbox, that cross-play thing, or maybe even the new Switch. I don't know. And maybe then the game will come out and it'll be a little bit more fun to play. But in its current state, the game just wasn't that good, right? It really wasn't. It needed a lot of work. It needed a lot of a lot of love, and it didn't get that. And the sales were not good, and it was a big L for Bethesda. It really was. I know they try to spin it up and say it wasn't as bad as they thought. I mean, when you look at the acquisition from Microsoft and you look at where that company is right now, and the fact that they're not even really a contender for anything right now, it makes you realize that, like, hey, maybe we should do better. So it's always okay to dig in from the well, right? And that's why I think that this game is out now, because there's really not a whole lot going on in Xbox land right now. A lot of their biggest games are becoming cross-play, and I think they needed some serious help. And I'm glad that this game came out, because now I think that they have it. I think that this is a win for them. I think this is a great way for the guys over at, for them to go back and look now as they're developing the next generation of what the Elder Scrolls game will become, whatever Elder Scrolls 6 does or doesn't turn into. I really hope they use Oblivion as inspiration, because this was kind of like a golden era for what we expected during these games. And I think that people who even are willing to put up with these complex systems that I just outlined, and walking through some of the more rough combat at times, and maybe janky AI or confusing puzzles, dungeons that don't really loop on themselves very well, where it's kind of up to you to kind of like figure out, like, hey, where am I supposed to go? Or like, how do I know when I'm at the end of this dungeon? Does it say cleared? Is there a secret door that at the end of the dungeon opens up and takes me back to the beginning, and it's like a nice clean loop? Well, the answer to both of those is no, by the way. But you'll eventually just kind of realize like where you can go and what you can't do. And that's part of the fun, is that just massive exploration to just, get lost in that world. And I think that that's kind of the win that we want right now. And I think that that is where Bethesda needs to get back to. So I think the fact that they released this game now, the fact that it's okay. It's not a full-priced game in the sense that, like, they give you all the DLC. They give you the remastered stuff. They took some time to modernize the graphics engine and make some quality of life improvements that are pretty significant, right? That's awesome, right? So I'm happy. I'm going to go ahead and do a quick save, though, because I don't want to die. This is getting a little intense, but that's okay. But yeah, so that's why I think it's a good time for them. And I think that's why I'm so happy the numbers are where they are, and people are talking about it and playing it and wanting to understand the world and kind of, get lost in that universe. Did that rat just totally eat it? Oh, he totally ate it. Wow, he just ate a total spike sandwich. That was awesome. We're just going to sneak around here so we don't get smushed. And I think that, people will look fondly at this game and say, hey, you know what? Like, they really understood it back then. That was really where that, like, Bethesda magic was. Where is that sense of awe and wonder, and why is it not in Starfield? And I hope that this is some of the soul searching that the current iteration of them kind of look at, and they ask those questions, and they want to try to understand and say, yes, clearly we're capable of reselling you a game that's 20 years old. And, you're going to buy it, you're going to play it, you're going to love it, your friends are going to talk about it. Everybody's going to want to be a part of this experience again. And it's a great game to get lost in, on top of the new Doom game coming out, on top of Indiana Jones, on top of Monster Hunter, and all these other wonderful experiences that exist. A game like this can absolutely exist. This is a game you can get lost in for hours at a time, go explore a dungeon, progress the story a little bit, understand what the Oblivion gates are, go learn a new spell, all that kind of stuff. And I'm so grateful for this, that a game like this does exist. And I'm happy that a lot of people who haven't yet a chance to experience it will get to. The last thing I'll say before I close up this video and try to figure out how to get through that door, because I don't remember, is, when you're playing a game like this, the modern gamer doesn't have patience. And I implore you, in a game like this, try to have a little bit of patience. Invest in the world, invest in the story, invest in the characters. Try to understand kind of what makes sense. Try to, like, really ask and talk to all the various vendors. and enjoy this experience, because a game like this was very, very, very special. And a game like this doesn't come by very often. There's a lot of things they could have remastered, and there's a lot of things they could have redone. And this is the game that they chose to do that to. And I love that about this. And I love that these puzzles, while maybe somewhat intuitive, do ultimately have a logical flow to them. And that sometimes you just got to take a second look and not rush through things and not expect the arrow just to point you directly where you're supposed to go. And you can take your time and enjoy the experience. And I hope you all do that and take your time and appreciate one of the greatest games that ever came out, and get lost in the world and have fun with it, because I know I'm going to. So that'll wrap up today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will be doing some more Let's Plays on this. I'll probably do a stream later in the week, kind of talking a little bit more about some of the features, and we'll probably be a little farther in the story then. But for now, I'm just going to jam out and enjoy this dungeon and go try to figure out what the hell I need to do. So that'll wrap up today's video. Thank you all so much for watching. Take care of yourselves, and until next time, I will see you guys on the other side.